It's an ambush.
Oh my God, it's an ambush!
It's an ambush!
Of course!
Oh, good morning. Very, very early morning. Who am I? Why am I here? I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I'm here in my Stormtrooper bathrobe and my Punisher shirt, my unkempt self. Because I couldn't get back to sleep. I don't know what it was. I went to bed at a decent time. It's fine. I slept all right, as far as I can tell. I did do something different last night that I don't think I've ever done before. I mean, usually what I end up doing is, it's difficult for me to just like fall asleep in silence. So I usually need some kind of white noise in the background or something going on. That AM radio kind of chatter at a low volume. And there's plenty of channels on YouTube that have like these, 10 hours of black screen rain sounds and things like that. And so obviously the algorithm likes to throw those things at me from time to time. And last night there was this one that said, it was like 10 hours of theta alpha wave best sleep noises or something. And I was like, sure, why not? I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but I slept pretty good. And then I woke up at like 2 in the morning. And I was like, I'm not a little sleepy and tired. I'm fully awake. What am I going to do with myself? I'm like, well, I don't have anything productive I can do until the rest of the world wakes up a little bit. And work is at least another 2.5 hours away. So I have a YouTube channel. But anyway, so that's that. Who's joining me on this unkempt early morning? Corey Suzuki. Good morning. Shady Grin. Good morning. Evil One. Good morning. The Luke Skywalker 2. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Simon Willikins. Good morning. Full Metal Joker. Good morning. The Theater Winch Ginger. Good morning. And Lewis 4295. Or Louis. Is it Lewis or Louis? Louisville or Louisville? Good morning. Green Badger Outdoors. Good morning. But, yeah, so let's talk about Minneapolis. Boy, oh boy. I was really busy with work yesterday, and I was watching all the news coverage as it came out. And the scenario seems pretty cut and dry to me. And anybody that's actually watched the videos with a sane mind. But it was quite something to listen to the mayor of Minneapolis, and I believe the chief of police of Minneapolis, giving their press conference. And there was one part in there, I mean, there's a lot of parts in there that bugged me, just as a casual observer. But the one part that bugged me the most was the point at which the police chief, and I am paraphrasing, I don't have it in front of me, but I am paraphrasing, where he's being asked questions by the press, and he said something to the effect of, well, I don't know all the circumstances of the shooting yet. And yet he was out there with the mayor making proclamations as to the illegality and the cruelty and the executional nature of what happened. Which I'm just... You guys want riots, right? This is what you're asking for. You're fueling every nut job out there that was already on the edge of doing something crazy and have been doing crazy things that just don't get covered that much in the media when it comes to resisting ICE activities. But now you're telling them that, no, seriously, they are unhinged, murderous, rampaging kidnappers who will shoot innocent people just for driving by. And you can't help but get the sense that, and they, the nut jobs on the far, far left have been waiting and with bated breath for their next George Floyd moment. You know, every time there is anything that even whiffs of a possible injustice, and it all seems to happen in Minneapolis. Boy, Minneapolis is ground zero for insane takes on reality. Even when there's like video evidence in front of you that what happened happened. And the media cannot help themselves in this, which is just amazing to me. Let's take a quick look. I think I have to minimize this a little bit. Let's take a quick look at a little news video that I saw this morning as I woke up and I was trying to figure out what to do, and so I watched some videos on YouTube. And of course, the big news is the shooting in Minneapolis. And this clip from this local Fox affiliate came out. And it's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but there's a little bit in there that really caught my brain. And let's see if you can spot it along with me here. Okay, I'm going to have to pause frequently. I assume this will end up demonetizing the video or whatever, getting a claim, but it's fine. So
coverage with Mike Manzoni. Mike is in Minneapolis as well.
And Mike, eyewitness video captured the shooting from multiple angles.
Okay, eyewitness video captured the shooting from multiple angles. For reference's sake, for those of you in the future that there's no telling what the date of this situation is. So there was a shooting in Minneapolis. A woman decided to place herself literally in the middle of a federal ICE investigation. But unlike some instances, this was covered by multiple cameras from multiple people from multiple angles. So the ambiguity of events is reduced practically down to zero, thankfully. And yet,
today.
And Kelsey and Randy, you'll see two of those videos in just a moment. The Department of Homeland Security says that the woman who died was using her SUV as a deadly weapon, and that the agent who shot and killed her was simply defending himself, though of course many people disagree with.
Okay, this isn't the point at which that made my brain go, but it is another thing. It's like, the Department of Homeland Security says she was using it as a deadly weapon, but many disagree. Multiple angles on video. Even just the idea that this is a he said, she said situation where there isn't some kind of credible corroborative evidence about the events.
That telling of the story, the two videos you're about to see, will likely play a role as investigators look into what happened and determine whether it was justified.
Again, it's a big mystery, guys, as to the chain of events that occurred here. It's still really up in the air.
No! No! Shame! Shame!
An eyewitness recorded this video showing the moment that an ICE agent opened fire, shooting into an SUV and killing the driver.
Now, that is technically correct. You're leaving out the actions of the driver. I mean, if you didn't have the video, if you just had that commentary on the radio or something, you could be forgiven for thinking the guy just randomly and unprovoked just shot into the car.
You can see several agents approach the maroon SUV.
Yes.
That's when the woman starts backing up as one agent keeps his hand on the driver's side door.
Yeah, driver's side door. Okay, that's correct.
Just behind him, another agent stands near the front of the vehicle. He's the one who shoots the woman, firing once through the windshield and...
Okay, not mentioning... So he mentions the car backing up. He doesn't mention her hitting the gas when the agent is in front of her car. He's not like... She's looking right at him as she's gunning it. He doesn't mention that bit.
Two more times through the open driver's side window, but another video shows it all from another angle.
Yes, another video shows it from another angle. Here comes the bit. I'm giving it away. Here comes the bit that really
This is the video that President Trump referred to on social media when he defended the agent's actions. From this view, you can see that agent toward the front of the SUV, and it appears that the vehicle does hit him.
That's the part that made me... It appears like it's still some kind of theory if the car struck the agent. When you have it on video... Here, let me back up just a smidge. Let me get right. Okay.
The agent's actions from this view.
Okay. You see the car hit the guy. It's not an abstract. It's not some twice told tale. It's not a freaking theory. It happened. You have it on video. It appears that the car hit him. No, the car hit him. He was struck by the vehicle. Definitive. It's not guesswork. We don't need to bring in Miss Marple on this one. There is video of it happening. And yet, the media just cannot help themselves but to omit information that is right in front of your eyes or to try to mitigate its existence. Again, this is not a he said, she said situation. The entire incident, from the instigating event of her pulling her car into the road to block the ICE vehicles, up to the point of her crashing her car after the shooting, the whole thing is right there. She blocks the road. They tell her to get out of the car. She refuses to get out of the car. They try to get her out of the car. She backs up, attempts to flee, guns it while the agent's right in front of her. He shoots after he is hit by the car. Ah! And so now we have our new George Floyd incident, which I mean, you couldn't have planned it better if you're Tim Walz or the Minnesota leadership to have a distracting event to the utter ruination of that state and various cities' administrations with the fraud coming out. I mean, on the same day that hearings are being held in Congress to go over and further expose the massive, years-long, hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars in fraudulent activity going on under the nose, if not involving several leaders in Minnesota. Now this happens. And they couldn't have waited better. They're just chomping at the bit. They are salivating for something like this. Not only are the activists were salivating for something like this, it couldn't have happened at a better time for Minnesota. Oh, now we don't have to talk about the rampant graft and corruption that's been going on for the better part of the last decade. No. Now we're going to have the mayor threaten and ordering ICE to get out the F out of the city or the state. You have the governor saying he's going to call the National Guard. To do what? To watch riots in the near future, I'm assuming. But also implying that somehow he's going to have the National Guard fend off ICE. You know, there's a controversy not too long ago of several different politicians and senators and things putting out a video telling armed forces that you don't have to follow any illegal orders. Trying to get a dig at Trump and undermine our military and service members. And now the governor of Minnesota is going to, secede from the Union? Using the National Guard against ICE? Yeah, sure. Evil One, I'm sorry I know these pesky facts. What? Hate fact? What's going on? What am I missing? You see, the chat goes by quicker than I have the opportunity to react. Duck Dog, good morning. Watching the agent ride the fender because she was trying to run him over takes away all the ambiguity. Yeah, and again, it appears he was hit by the car. No, it's not poof like a magic trick. He was hit by the car. You have the video. I couldn't, I know this is a weird tangent, but I couldn't help but think of all the stories, because I'm a true crime. If you hadn't noticed, having a series called Living on Borrowed Crime, I'm kind of a true crime nut. And for years and years and years, you'd hear those stories about a murder happens at a family home, and the police arrive, and there's one family member that miraculously survived or just happened to be around. And there's all these sort of anecdotal tales by police and in police reports about the behavior of that person upon the arrival of investigators. And it was always kind of like, he acted awfully strangely for someone that just discovered his wife dead in the home, that kind of thing. And it was always very weird. I was always like, boy, I really wish I could be a fly on the wall in those early moments of the investigation. Because, it sounds like, what does it mean that someone acts weird when they find their dead family member or when they're confronted about their missing child or something like that? And then the Chris Watts case came up. And if you're not familiar with the Chris Watts case, well, I mean, the entire thing was practically filmed from the beginning of the investigation through to the end. And it was one of the first instances that I'm aware of where from the very moment suspicion arose about what happened to the Watts family, you have, the guy who did it, the guy who murdered them all, on camera from the get-go. And so you can see, without any question, without any ambiguity, what his behavior was, how he reacted, when people started asking questions, etc. and so forth. It was fascinating. There was no ambiguity. I didn't have to wonder. I didn't have to use my imagination. What was he acting like? What does he mean, acting oddly? This is that same situation where the media and other people, at least in these early hours, but even with video evidence from multiple angles, are still acting like there's some room for doubt as to the motivation of the officer, as to the actions of the driver. I understand that there needs to be, in journalism and elsewise, a certain level of skepticism, a certain level of objectivity when it comes to what you're being told in the media. I have, obviously promoted this for years. On Lords of the Night, when we cover CNN stories about what's going on in the world, especially our favorite friend at CNN, Chris Cillizza, we would ask questions or point to the absence of information or the sugarcoating of certain things because you want to remain skeptically vigilant about most things that you're hearing from people in positions of authority. Not because you're just an inherent rebel, but because there's always the opportunity for someone to either be driven by ideology or their own biases to tell you something, and then you just decide without question to accept it and move forward with that belief into the world. When you could be wrong. You could have been not necessarily intentionally lied to, but led astray. It's always. But in a situation like this, and I know I keep coming back to this, but it is from the beginning of the event all the way through to its conclusion, where we're not talking about people who knew each other. You simply look at the actions and the circumstances in front of you, and you see everything in a logical, although insane, series of events. There's no mystery here. This investigation is pretty much wrapped up as soon as the videos drop. But they can't help themselves. They gotta try to placate some sense of outrage and ambiguity on it. Why? Why are you doing this? All you're doing is fueling. They talk for years about fueling conspiracy theories. You don't want to fuel conspiracy theories. That leads to bad events. Yeah. And you have the mayor, the police chief, the governor, and the media. They're having a hard time doing it because they have video. It's not like they're reporting some person on the street and then they're just, well, this is what happened and this is my perspective. No. There's at least 3 or 4 videos now from different angles as to what happened. And that one from the far away shot where you see the guy hit by the car before he fires the gun. It is insane. And we're going to watch. Now, the only thing I think, at least in Minnesota specifically, but probably in some other Midwest states, I think the only thing that's going to prevent major riots is the temperature, which is good. I'll take Mother Nature helping to mitigate the risk of life and property. But look out California and Oregon and Washington. I tell you, dog backwards. The ABS system worked perfectly. Yeah, I know. She backed up and then she lunged forward. Hey, American engineering. Kiro Soldier, good morning. Suzanne Ala Richard, don't know in that state, but in Colorado, that's someone using an SUV as a weapon. It's a huge mistake driving like you're going to run someone over. Yeah. It wasn't a situation where like he darted out in front of the car and she didn't have an opportunity. No, he was standing there by the time she had stopped and decided to put it into drive. And you see the wheels spin and he's right in front of her. It's just, yeah, no, it is a tragedy. I'm not going to deny that. It is a tragedy that somebody died over something so stupid. But every point along the way, she escalated the situation. Every single decision point that escalated the situation was on her. She blocked traffic. She refused a lawful command. She started moving her vehicle. She gunned it forward. No pun intended, but I'll take it. Are they actually posting those videos in the news? Yes. I mean, the videos themselves are not graphic in any particular way. Yeah, no, news. It's one of the, I guess, fortunate things about the lack of visible blood or anything is that they're not withholding this footage from the mass media. That's a plus, I guess. I mean, if you can find a silver lining to the situation. So the multiple angles of the event are not being withheld from people's views. So everybody can see with their own eyes what happened in the time frame it happened in and what she did and how the officers reacted. And I'm thankful for that because, you know, this isn't a Michael Brown situation where there's no video evidence of the event. All you have is witness testimony and twice told tales and such and word of mouth. If there had not been cameras at this instance, things would be a heck of a lot worse. So thank goodness for the people filming the thing, even if they were protesters. I mean, they filmed it, thankfully. She was pulling forward. Yeah. No, the chain of events. I mean, it's very fast. I won't deny it. It is a split-second decision when you have a car coming at you and you're trying to get out of the way, but you're not sure if you can, and you need to stop the driver. And there's not only that, but the part that people don't mention is that he's not just shooting because his life is under threat. He's shooting because he's encountering somebody who's willing to use their car as a weapon to escape the law, which leaves the possibility, the distinct and not unreasonable possibility, that this person now poses a future threat down the road, literally, to either law enforcement or other people as she's trying to get away. So it was more than justified. And yet people are deciding to, no. This was an execution. She was just minding her own business. She was just driving on by. You know, she was going to the local yard sale, like you do. And the ICE agent just decided willy-nilly to start shooting into her car because she just happened to be there. Mr. Jax, the only one angle matters. The other angles are Trumpian AI to confuse the established facts. Yeah, the only angle you need is the one where you don't see the car hitting the guy, where there might be some doubt as to whether or not he was really under threat. Dangerous Spaces. I have a life hack for how you can avoid running into a person or an object. What? With one simple trick? Keep your foot off the accelerator. Shockingly, that has worked for me every time. I know. I don't even drive. And I watched that video and I thought, you know, there's a really easy way to avoid this. Even if you're trying to be a jerkwad protester. You know, You know what the non-violent thing to do was? If you're going to be a jerkwad activist protester, what you do is, this is crazy. If you really want to block and inhibit ICE from kidnapping people, because that's totally what they were doing. Okay, here's what she should have done. And this isn't advice to anybody else, but for this lady, if she wanted to do what she was doing and do it in the most non-violent way possible, which I'm all for actual non-violent protest. Not that I'm encouraging people to interfere with federal investigations. But if she'd been a smarty about this, she would have parked her car in the middle of the road and eaten her car keys. Yeah, she swallowed her car keys. She can't move the car. What are you going to do now, officer? Oh, well. Instead, she was an idiot. Oh, don't speak ill of the dead, scribe. That's not nice. No, she was an idiot. She was a moron. For whatever else she was in life, she might have been a very nice person. She might have been a very productive adult otherwise. In this instance, she was an absolute and utter idiot. And now she's dead, and somebody lost a daughter. I don't know if she had any kids, but maybe they lost a mother or a sister. It just, for what? For what? Because she was ginned up on the idea that ICE is kidnapping people. And who has been telling everybody this and pushing that narrative? Wait a second. I saw something. I saw not something. It's not like Bigfoot or something, but I saw someone in the chat. Who's that? It's Miranda Stone. Miranda Stone here at this hour. Almost as befuddling as me being here at this hour. Well, anyway, guys, I don't know if you know about Miranda Stone, but if you know, yeah, so the days to come are going to be, the ancient Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times. We were just 1 week, as of yesterday when this all happened, 1 week into the new year. And already I have learned so many things from the left side of the spectrum. Number one, murderous socialist dictators require my sympathy. And secondly, it's somehow permissible to aim your car at federal agents, and anything that happens to you after that is an injustice. It's quite the education 2026 has been so far. Thank you, Matt Barnes. Good morning. Eating car keys is rad. Listen to the cops. If they violate your rights, sue them and never have to work again. Yeah, that's what you do. You don't, and you see this with all these like sovereign citizen videos over the years. You don't play roadside Perry Mason and start arguing your case to the non-judge, which is the police officer enforcing the law. And if he's enforcing it incorrectly, if somehow you've been violated in some way, shape, or form, just comply and wait for your day. There was this, it's several years old now, but there's this video of this police officer, and I forget where it was, who stops a guy. He looked like a middle-aged, almost elderly man, like walking down the street. And she stops him because she perceived a weapon in his back pocket. And she's like, she wants to search him and everything else. And this guy has some experience. He's either ex-military or ex-military police or an ex-police officer himself. And he's like, for what reason do you want to search me? He knows his rights. He's like, what's your probable cause to pat me down or anything else? And she's like, you have a weapon in your back pocket. He's like, I don't have a weapon in my back pocket. How do you perceive that as being a weapon? And, and I'm paraphrasing, but she pats him down and she arrests him and he complies. He's like, no, I'm not going to do this and I'm not going to do that. But he doesn't resist. He doesn't fight or anything. Eventually a supervisor comes along. Even after the weapon is obviously a collapsed cane because the guy is visually impaired. He has a folded up walking stick. You know, one of those blind man sticks, whatever you call them. And it just folded up in his back pocket. It doesn't even look like a weapon. You know, oh, well, anything can be a weapon. Yeah, but it's not a weapon. It wasn't a knife. It wasn't a gun or anything. But anyway, so this guy complies, and he sues the hell out of him. And good for him. But yeah, there were several ways that this could have gone down. And you know, I'm not for impeding law enforcement activities, but if you're going to be a protester, be a peaceful protester. It's fine. I do not want people's First Amendment rights curtailed. At the same time, I don't want anybody encouraging people to literally place themselves in an obstructive way into federal law enforcement investigations. There be dragons. You are asking for problems. More problems than really your entire effort is worthy of. But if you're going to do it, and in this case, this lady decided to do it. She decided. This was a choice. You see, I mean, you could diagram this with the videos. You can point out every decision point that she made to make this situation worse than it was. Pulling into the street, stopping, looking at the officers, defying their orders to get out of the car, backing up. So like, decision 1, pull into the street. Decision 2, not move. Decision 3, not comply with officers to get out of the car. Decision 4, backing up the car. Decision 5, putting the car in gear. Decision 6, hitting the gas pedal with the officer right in front of your windshield at the time. She had 6 opportunities in that instance to not die as a result of her actions. And in every single instance, she made the wrong choice, the demonstrably wrong choice. Series of bad decisions that she made. And yet, now we have the new saint of Minneapolis. And I can't help but have a certain measure of sympathy for her and anybody else that is being bombarded with messaging and propaganda about what ICE is and is not doing. That everything they're doing is unlawful, that they are kidnapping innocent people, they're tearing families apart, etc., etc. And so we have all of these hero complexes and Trump derangement sufferers and really, really bored people that have nothing better to do than try to aggrandize their own sense of moral rectitude. And it's going to continue. Let's see. Dog backwards. Have you considered being an AI? Considered being? This is AI! These days, how could you tell? Speaking of AI, shameless plug, that will be at least part of the topic of tonight's TED Excellence. Yes, I am streaming later on today. It is today, yes. So, 15 hours from now will be the TED Excellence. Anyway. So that was the first subject on my mind, because it's on everybody's mind right now. Dangerous spaces. I can feel sorry for these people. They actively segregate themselves from opposing views. It still boggles the mind. Again, in this day and age, when so much information is available to you, where you could at least take a moment to think about what is being said and what is being done by the opposing side of your perspective, but there's still this sense, I guess, and I learned about this. I mean, everything was a learning experience for me when just before and just after I started my channel. There was this epidemic, 2014, 2015-ish, of college campuses. And I know it wasn't unique to that time, but it just, became sort of prevalent, of students on college campuses protesting the possibility that someone from an opposing side would just speak at their campus. The one I remember the most, and there were others, but the one I remember the most was like Milo Yiannopoulos, a name you don't hear much anymore. But at the time, for those of you youngins out there, Milo Yiannopoulos was going to speak at some college, and an absolute nigh-on riot occurred as a result of the news that he was going to speak somewhere. And there's this, I forget where I heard it the first time from, but there's this little truism you have to keep in mind in life in general, that you can entertain an idea without having to accept it. This notion that simply his showing up and saying words on the campus was somehow harmful, violent, destructive, that just the possibility that an idea might be put into the ether would poison minds or cause damage or harm. It just, there's only one word that harms people, and that's muad'Dib, as we learn from David Lynch's Dune. Other than that, scared of the possibility of an idea you might disagree with. So scared that you're willing to cause violence. It was a bewildering thing to witness secondhand. And this is the kind of thing that continues on. We can't possibly listen to or entertain an opposing viewpoint because then our minds might become corrupted. And what if my mind was changed? What if my mind was changed and I suddenly said something that gave credence to the other side? All my friends will leave me. This puritanical tribalism of perception and opinion, and it's like if you even deviate just a little bit to the other way, that somehow you're going to be a villain. But that is the culture they've created around themselves. You cannot disagree with the party line. To do so means you're a bad person. Not that just you might be incorrect, but that you are morally deficient. You are virtuously bereft. And and it's inescapable. Once you've entered into that mindset and you surround people with that same mindset and your entire identity is built around being on the side of right, which only has one set of approved opinions, it's very hard to escape. It's and I mean, this isn't like a new analogy or anything, but it is so cultish. Utterly and absolutely cultish. But here we are. And so riot season is starting early this year, apparently. It'll probably be slow going in the states where it's freezing right now because, like I say, cold has a way of keeping people indoors. But California, Oregon, Washington, as was mentioned, maybe Colorado, and of course New York and elsewise. As I said, may you live in interesting times. It's going to be an interesting next couple of days to see how this plays out. Again, the only shining light to this that I can hope will mitigate some of the insanity is the fact that it was so well documented, that there really is no ambiguity as to the chain of events. That would hopefully dissuade people from saying out and out, this is something that needs to be protested to the point of destruction and harm. But, you know, someone who is so stuck into this and has spent the last several years saying that ICE can do nothing but evil, there's no hope for him, I don't think. And so I just fear that a lot of unnecessary destruction and harm is going to come to people over something that it's not even a mystery. It's not even a he said, she said. It's not even a, oh, well, the officer said this, but eyewitnesses said that, and we don't really know for sure. It's not even one of those. And here we go. Let's see. People in the chat. Let's see. Susano, that doesn't happen in West Denver. We don't put up with it. Protesting is fine, but no riots. Well, good for West Denver. Go you to West Denver. I don't want people's rights to protest. I mean, you can protest and be wrong. You know, factually wrong about your opinion on things. You know, if people want to protest, you know, the idea that the Earth is round, more power to you. That's fine. As long as you're not hurting anybody else and staying within the boundaries of whatever the statutes or laws are, hey, go ahead. It's not a crime to be incorrect about something and complain about it. Question is, what do you do when you're presented with evidence absolutely to the contrary of where you're at? I could, you know, sympathize with somebody making a grievous mistake in their way of thinking or trusting someone that told them a thing that happened and so on and so forth and being led astray. Okay. And if you want to complain from a position of incorrectness, I've been there. You know, I've been led astray before, either by myself or by information that I had that was sketchy at the time. Sure. I'm not going to begrudge somebody that. But when all the information is right in front of you, when there is no doubt as to the chain of events, and you willfully decide to operate in counterpoint to reality, it's an uphill battle for me to feel bad for you. But anyway, Coca-Cola called. What? Classic? Yeah, they probably want my business. I've been buying too much Dr. Pepper. That's the problem. They called. They said, hey, why aren't you having Jack and Coke and not Pepper Jacks? And I'll tell them, Pepper Jacks taste better. You know, as long as you get the balance, you have to get the balance right. You can't have the Jack cannot supersede the pepper, and the pepper cannot drown out the Jack. It's got to be, it's a very, I want to say scientific balance, but once you get those flavors balanced perfectly, yeah. I mean, I've had, you know, pepper jacks that have too much Jack, and that just, I mean, it's not bad per se, but it's not great. I've had watered down pepper jacks where there's just too much Dr. Pepper, not enough whiskey. But man, when you hit that sweet spot, oh, it's so good. Ambrosia. Utter ambrosia. Filthy globalists forcing their round ideology. I know. I'm not promoting. I guess that'd be the opposite of fat shaming, wouldn't it? Read by Nature, good morning. I used to watch Flat Earth debunkers for a while, but after a while, all the content just sort of plateaued. Yeah, the skeptics, the Flat Earth debunker, like Thunderfoot. Thunderfoot is sort of the for that era, the gold standard in the debunkers, and but most of his content the last several years has just been hating on Elon Musk. And not unjustifiably in many instances, sure. But it gets kind of tired after a while because there's only so many different ways you can say the Earth is not flat, right? Or Elon Musk tells crazy stories and makes crazy promises that he never fulfills, and it just seems to be spitballing things in front of investors and so on. Like, okay, I know. And then what? Think again, Matt Barnes, but you have to double down and insist everyone else is wrong, Scribbles. If you believe the lie, then it's true. George Costanza. Yeah. If you want to construct your own reality and your own truth, it's very easy to do. Just ignore everything else around you. Right. Now, the problem is, and thank you, Matt Barnes, again, when you decide to act violently to oppose the reality you've constructed. And here we are. Once again, here we are. And now, on behalf of this lady's idiocy, more bad things will happen. That's not a wish on my part. That's just pattern recognition. So, I think that was a pun scribe. It's possible. Whatever you're referring to, I'm sure it's possible. I can always misunderstand something or take something in a different direction. Yeah. Jay Blizz, I would try a pepper jack one day, but I hate alcohol. It's not something I prescribe to people. And, yeah, I can't remember the first time. I think it was because someone at a party I was at was making drinks and they ran out of Coca-Cola, but they had Dr. Pepper and they threw Dr. Pepper in and I had it. And it was just one of those kismet moments. They had just enough Jack Daniels left and a can of Dr. Pepper and they hit the perfect mixture. And I was like, my God, this tastes so good. What is it? What did you do? And the lady at the party that mixed it together, she was like, I just put Dr. Pepper in, which it was like revelation. And so for a brief period of time, I'd only have her, whenever this happened, it didn't happen very often, but the couple of parties I went to, I was like, you have to make that drink for me again. And she'd look at me like I was crazy, like, it's just Dr. Pepper. Like, but I know, but only you can do it right. And so like I watched her do it to see if I could memorize her method. It turned into a running joke for a while. Anyway, but yeah, it was so good. Oh, so good. Oh, those were the days. Those were the days. Dog Pepper. Then Thunderbolt ate too much McDonald's and Diet Coke. It's been a long time. I used to watch Thunderfoot a lot back in the day. So some of his stuff was really informative, especially when he was like debunking scam, like Kickstarters and GoFundMes and things like that. That stuff was really cool. There was the epics of like Solar Roadways, and there was some kind of like perpetual water spout thing or something, and just scientifically showing how these things could not work. Even if you just sort of dismiss them out of hand as sounds like a crackpot idea, he'd go down into the deep dark science of, how does condensation operate in a Peltier device or something, and all this other stuff. It was really informative. So his science-based stuff I always found really interesting. Depending on when it came to Hyperloop, that was the first thing about Elon Musk I ever saw him go on, and it felt more like one of his science videos because he was talking about the impossibility of the Hyperloop ever really working in any practical way, and so that was still very science-based. But then he started just like, Elon Musk said a thing 3 years ago that didn't happen, and like. Yeah, well, Elon Musk is a salesman first and foremost. I don't know what to tell you. Mr. Ree, I run Makers 46 and Coke myself. To each their own. Whatever works for you. I have, I forget who it was, but I once made the perfect, at the time, pepper jack. And I shared it with somebody, and they hated it. I was like, oh, I thought maybe I got the balance wrong or something. Maybe I put too much Jack. There wasn't enough pepper and too much Jack. And so I was like, really? And so I took a sip, and it was, I had hit it on the mark, and I was like, you don't like this? Like, no, it tastes good. I'm like, okay. But of course, I am one of those mutants that tastes burning soap whenever cilantro is introduced into the mix. So everybody's different. Duck Dog, thank you so much. Dr. Pepper is bottled by Coke and Pepsi. By both Coke and Pepsi. When it's bottled by Coke, it comes in a Fanta bottle. Oh. My soft drink lore is thus increased. Well, then, I guess the better Dr. Pepper is the Pepsi Dr. Pepper, because it's actual Dr. Pepper? Or is it just a Fanta bottle with a Dr. Pepper label on it? I've had, here's the really sad thing. It's not a really sad thing, but it's something that I was disappointed by. For my birthday last year, as a special treat, I decided to order from Amazon the pure cane sugar Dr. Pepper, because I prefer Mexican Coke. versus regular Coke. Ever since I had Mexican Coke, I can't really go back because there's such a distinct difference in flavor and quality to it. And so I thought, wow, I bet Dr. Pepper, pure cane sugar, tastes even better. Not so much. It tasted, and maybe it was just the batch I got, I don't know, but it tasted flatter. It didn't have the same flavor than high fructose corn syrup Dr. Pepper. So I was like, man. I was hoping, but of course it's getting, you can't, at least I can't. I don't have pure cane sugar Dr. Pepper available to me on a regular basis. I had to order it. My grocery store has Mexican Coke. It doesn't have pure cane Dr. Pepper. So, Eaton Nass. Hi, Scribe. Hi, Eaton. How's it going? Good morning. And Digiworm. Good morning, Digiworm. Now, Keldrig. Scribe's mutant power is a dislike of cilantro. You should complain to Stan Lee for writing you poorly. I have an autographed card from Stan Lee that I got when I was a teenager. It is the Series 2 Marvel trading card of Archangel. Stan Lee on it. So that's one of my personal treasured collectibles. I have an entire complete collection of the Series 1 Marvel cards, Series 2, and Series 3. And they're all away in a closet. I have most of the Series 1 holograph cards. I have all of them. Series 2, I've got several, including a gold card. I think that was a Wolverine card. And then there was a set of Marvel cards that were done by the Hildebrandt brothers. And I have that set as well. I don't know if I have any. I might have one of the hologram cards from that one. But that was all back in my collectible, it was a collectible card game, but collectible card era of my mania in comic books. It was because of Marvel cards that I suddenly learned about the value of a comic book that I unfortunately sold when I was 12 because I was stupid. My grandfather had passed away, and in cleaning out his stuff, my father found a stack of his old comic books when he was a kid. And in that stack of comic books were two, I have most of them still, but there were two in particular that stood out in retrospect. The first one was Tales of Suspense number 39, which is the very first appearance of Iron Man, which I still have hidden away in a safe place. It's not in mint condition, but it's not completely falling apart either. I'd say it's fair. If I was being conservative, I'd say it's a fair condition. The other comic was Showcase number 22. Showcase 22, the very first appearance of the Silver Age Green Lantern. Yes, the origin story of Hal Jordan. And that comic book was in really good condition. I can only think back to how good of a condition it was in now, because when I was 12, going to my very first comic book convention, and this is before comic book conventions were like the Disneylands they are today. It was just a rented out space with a whole bunch of tables and a whole bunch of dealers and a whole bunch of boxes, and you'd occasionally have the artists and so on present, or maybe panel discussions and things. But it was a very nerdy, very sedate event. I went to my very first comic book convention, and I went up to a dealer. I wanted to find out how much my comic books were worth. And I went up to a dealer with Showcase number 22. And remember, I'm 12 years old, okay? I'm only 12. I went to a dealer, and I asked him, how much would you pay for this? And this dealer, I both, to this day, I both despise him, and yet at the same time, I can't blame him. Except for the fact that I was a 12-year-old and didn't know any better. And I obviously didn't know any better. And he's like, oh, well, I'll give you $65 for it. And I'm a 12-year-old. I'm like, $65? Wow. Oh my gosh. I was about 2 weeks away from going on a student trip to Washington, D.C., and thinking about all that spending money. $65. Sure. Yeah, well, if you want to know the tragedy of that story, look up, probably on, I don't know if Overstreet does, I'm sure Overstreet has a website now, but in the olden days, it was Overstreet's Price Guide. It was a publication that went out regularly that listed the going prices, depending on condition, of various comic books. Big index, big, thick, like Bible-like book. Yeah, look up Showcase 22. And see what it's going for these days. And you might have to ratchet it back, obviously, for the time that's gone since then. But still, $65. I learned my lesson, and you know how I learned my lesson? It wasn't long thereafter that the Series 1 Marvel cards came out. And one of the subsections of the Marvel cards was a little listing of a whole bunch of first issues and first appearances profiled on individual cards. And I came across this card of Tales of Suspense, number 39. And I'm like, I have that comic book. And you turn it over and it tells you, like, when the comic was published and what it was about and what its average selling price and value was at that time. And Tales of Suspense 39 on this card said something like $3,000 to $5,000 or something. And I was like, oh! And that's when I learned, that is when I learned about the Overstreet Price Guide. And I looked up Showcase 22 after I had sold it for $65. Now, it's not as if I would ever have ended up selling that thing if I had known it was worth something, because I still have all of those comic books. But man, what a lesson to have to learn. What a lesson to have to learn. But it was a valuable one. It was a valuable one. Look before you leap, as they say. Let's say $65 it is. Crikey! $65? Oh, I could buy that stick of gum I always wanted. Yeah, so that was a lesson learned. Maybe. I don't know. You know, it'd be funny if that man turned out to be Mr. Jack. Yeah. No, I saw that guy again at a subsequent comic book convention. And he was still doing his thing. I mean, I don't remember what comic book store he was with or something, or what outlet he was. But now I saw him again, and I never spoke to that guy again. Never went back to his table. I was just like, okay, you got me. You know, let the buyer beware or the seller be stupid. And I was the seller. I was 12. You took advantage of a 12-year-old. Not my favorite person in the world. But he saw an opportunity. I to this day, I wonder how much he got for it when I assume he eventually sold it. Like, what was his markup on it? But, yeah, I only attended, like, 2 or 3 comic book conventions in my life. One of them, I was able to get my Spider-Man number 350, which was, well, the artist was Eric Larson and Randy Emberlin was the inker. And they were both no, was it both of them? I think it was both of them. Yeah, both of them at the comic convention. And so I got both their signatures on my 350, which is great. And I also got some unused cover art for the first or second appearance of Carnage. I think I lost that somewhere along the way, unfortunately. But it was just like a print, so it wasn't like original art or something. But yeah, I used to go to comic conventions before they became mainstream, back when they were cool. Just a bunch of nerdy guys in a warehouse with tables and boxes of stuff. Although I did get a really good deal one time. I have the very first appearance of Bullseye. I bought that thing. The guy, and it's in excellent condition. It's in great condition. And I don't know if the guy was either didn't know what he had, or he didn't care, or he was just selling it at a discount or whatever. Anyway, I got that thing for $25. What is that worth now? Let's see. Hold on just a second here. First appearance Bullseye comic. Let's see. So that was Daredevil 131. What is its current going value? Let's see. Daredevil 131 estimated at, what's it worth? It says right now about $1,000, I suppose. If it's in really good condition. It's going for anywhere from $120 to $1,000, depending on its quality. Okay. I thought it'd be worth more by now. Maybe Bullseye isn't that big of a character. I thought maybe it might be because of Netflix and everything else. What do I know? I wish I could my Judge Dredd comics. I had Judge Deathheart. Oh, yeah. No, nothing, again, just like with the Showcase 22, nothing worse than realizing after the fact what you had or thinking about, where you misplaced it or had it taken away or you sold it or you lost it. Oh, man. That's such a sour feeling. But like I say, a valuable lesson learned. And since that day, I don't think I've ever sold another comic book. My entire collection is still locked away. I got some pretty good stuff. I got several first issues of some things. I have Punisher #1. Punisher #1. Well, #1 of the Unlimited series, not of the Circle of Blood arc, the limited series that presaged his regular series. But I have Punisher #1. I've got 2 or 3 Spawn #1s. Oh my gosh, what else do I have? I got Deathlock #1. Yeah, Deathlock. And I even have a comic. It's a Spider-Man issue that had a mistake. It was double covered, so it's got 2 covers stapled to it, which I don't think is like the most valuable of mistakes, but it is interesting. And I have a Todd McFarlane signature. I got, it was a Hobgoblin issue that he did, or Hobgoblin's the villain, and it's got, he got signed on the inside. I got some stuff. Let's see. Scribe, that's nothing. I have the Amazing Spider-Man comic Election Day with Barack Obama on the cover. I know! I remember that. I don't have that myself, but I remember that. Blue-Eyed Scream. It's time for me to get up now that I have power again. Well, I too will have to officially get up in about 15 or 20 minutes because that's when my workday starts. Yes, 4 a.m. Pacific time is when my workday starts because I have to do stuff and get it done and out the door before East Coast time hits work hours. So, but anyway, let's see. Susano gave away around 1,000 Fantastic Four comics to some kid. That was probably worth a lot of money at the time, just didn't care or think about it. That kid was very happy to. Well, yeah. Actually, one of my most treasured comic books has nothing to do with anything collectible per se. It's one of those same comic books that was in the stack with my father's comic books after they cleaned out my grandfather's house. And it is an issue of the Fantastic Four. And it has liner notes from my grandmother, from my father's mother. And it's the most adorable thing ever. Like, there'll be like a panel with like the Thing throwing a car. And it'll be a little note on the side that says, "Oh, love that Thing." Or, Mr. Fantastic is so handsome. Just these little, like, pen-written little lines. It's so bizarre, but it's one of my most valued possessions. Just because I have very little memory of my grandmother. She died when I was relatively young. And so my only recollections of interacting with her are like, sitting on her lap at the dinner table kind of thing and her talking to people, but I never really knew her. And so to have this little, like, little record of her thoughts, and especially talking about comic book characters in such familiar and loving tones is something else. I haven't looked at that in a long time. I should find that in my stack of things. Because yeah, but anyway, sorry, lost in train of thought there for a second. Mr. Jax, I have the Wolverine issue where he calls Sabretooth a slur for the people with tiny hats. What? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I thought, did they have that as a subplot at some point? Because I know that Kitty Pryde, that was a big thing at the time, where they had a comic book character who was Jewish. They made a big deal about that back in the olden days. I have those collections of those early, all different, all amazing, Uncanny X-Men deals. Read by nature. The only stuff I have now dates back to 99, early 2000s, but they're not mint. Just an array of Marvel stuff collecting dust. Yeah, the sense of rarity and specialness to a lot of things started to taper off in the early 2000s when it became obvious that comic books could be worth something, and comics became much more popular. So yeah, anything pre-90s is usually more valuable, I think, just because after X-Men #1, I think that was one of the sort of the watershed moments when X-Men #1 with the multiple covers came out, and everybody and their brother had an X-Men #1, and it sold so many issues and so many copies that, oh my gosh, I have all of the X-Men covers. I have like 7 or 8 issues or copies of the same comic book, just with a different cover. One of the greatest marketing schemes ever for a single issue of a comic book when they made X-Men #1 again. But it also started the ball rolling on just absolutely saturating the market with collectibles things. And yeah. But I have a feeling that those comic books aren't worth that much these days. I've got them all. I fell for it too. I got one of every issue, or one of every cover. So I have the whole thing. God, this thing is bugging the heck out of me. I got to do something about this thing on my headphone. It's driving me absolutely up the wall that it like wants to twist its way back out from behind my ear and stick out to the side. Driving me nuts. Yeah. Try to seem professional with these things instead of having the cans on my head. But it's annoying. It takes me. I would get a coffee, but I can't go downstairs yet. Yeah, I'm gonna make some cocoa here pretty quick. For Christmas, I was gifted a can of peppermint cocoa mix, but it's the kind that requires milk. It doesn't work with hot water, and so I have to like pour the milk and put it in the pan and then warm it up carefully, wait for it to steam, but not get too hot because you don't want it to like, bake onto the pan, and so you have to constantly stir it and wait and everything else, and then you pour, and then it tastes really good. But it's much more effort. More effort than my bachelor initiative really wants to take. Mr. Jack, yeah, X-Men 1 and Death of Superman. Yeah, I have 2 Death of Supermans. One that I opened and one that I didn't. And the one that I didn't, the Mylar bag it's in has probably rotted away everything inside that thing at this point. The hologram is probably deteriorated to nothing. Scribe needs headphones to go over the ear. I mean, I've got the regular headphones, like the cans. The problem is that the band on the top, it like pushes my hair out in a weird way or makes it go. It looks silly. Not that this isn't silly. I didn't do anything with my hair this morning. I just got up and this is bedhead, where I get this little poof. This little poof at the front. Poof. But yeah, but having the headphones, it like squishes down this thing. It leaves like that little thing up there like that when my headphones are on, and it just looks silly. So that's why I got these over-the-ear things, just or behind the head deals. So I don't look any more ridiculous than I usually do, is the point. Anon, peppermint cocoa is the bomb. Yes. When Starbucks seasonally has their peppermint hot cocoa, so good. They had this. I think I've told this story before, and I'll end the stream with this because in about 10 minutes I have to go anyway. Many moons ago, Starbucks had what they called signature hot chocolate. There was hot chocolate, and then there was signature hot chocolate. And signature hot chocolate was like this richer, much more robust cocoa. And it was not for the faint of heart. But if you're a chocolate lover and a hot chocolate lover, oh man. And so for, I don't know, 2 years or something, back in the olden days when I worked in an office every day, every morning that I was able, after I got my morning work done and I had my little period of time where I was waiting for things to be posted or people to do their other stuff, I would go down, and there was a Starbucks about 4 blocks away, and I get my signature hot chocolate every single morning without fail, barring, power outage or snowstorm or something. And of course, when you go into a place long enough and they're always asking for your name, eventually they get to recognize you and know you. And I got to know the baristas down there very well. As far as, the relationship between a customer and a barista can go. But, chit chat here and there. And this went on for like 2 years. And I get my, and this is in the olden days. I get my Venti signature hot chocolate. Oh my God. Oh, the hot chocolate. Oh, so good. But then came the day. I walked into the Starbucks like any other day. And Jerry, the barista there that morning, he saw me come in. And he got this look on his face. And I saw it. And I saw him and I was like, he looked at me like he was going to tell me something terrible. Like my dog died or something. And I was like, what's wrong? He didn't even have to say anything. I saw a look on his face and I was just like, what's wrong? And he looks at me and says, they're discontinuing signature hot chocolate. And I was like, no. Why have you forsaken me, oh Lord? And I said, oh, when? He's like, well, the supply that we have is all that we're going to get. They're discontinuing it as of next week. And I was like, oh no. And I got my Venti signature hot chocolate. And I immediately marched right back to the office. And I got onto the Starbucks website. And I went to their customer service thing. And it says, send a note to the company. And I said, Dear Starbucks, I hear you're discontinuing signature hot chocolate. Please send the entirety of your remaining supply to Starbucks number da-da-da-da-da-da. I told them don't do it, but if you're going to do it, send everything you got left to my Starbucks. Right now. You never know how good you have it until it's all gone. But anyway, so between ice shootings, comic book values, and the disappearing quality of hot chocolate, that is my what the hell am I doing awake at this hour live stream. Programming note, as I mentioned, and as will be usual, tonight in 14 hours, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, will be the previously and regularly scheduled TED Excellence. Today's offering on TED Excellence will be, can AI uplift entrepreneurs that traditional banks reject? Question mark. Little free preview. That title, and it's again, as usual, the title is the only thing I know about this thing. That title conjures into my mind so many questions of bewilderment as to what the title means to say. It's like, Can AI uplift entrepreneurs that traditional banks reject? I'm assuming we're talking about bank loans or business loans. Well, if a traditional bank would reject an entrepreneur for a business loan, what would AI do to resolve that? Or if it was just that banks would reject, I might think, okay, AI is going to help you. Like if you're a first-time entrepreneur, AI is going to help you create a business plan where otherwise you might not have the experience or something. But why use the word traditional banks? Like non-traditional banks would accept an entrepreneur without AI? I don't know. I don't know how to interpret this title. And that's consequently the reason why I'm going to watch it tonight. Maybe with you. Would you like to join me? Well, come back to this channel at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern for TED Excellence with TED Excellence Bingo. I got to come up with a bingo theme for the poll today. I don't know what it'll be yet. But anyway, watch out for that on the X. I have to remember the orientation with the camera. It's like, okay, if that's over there, then this is over here. Yeah, my X account down there at the bottom. Follow me there. And we'll figure it out together. I don't usually do AI videos from TEDx because if there's one word that permeates 90% of what they post these days, it's AI this and AI that. And we've done a couple before, but for whatever reason, this title just caught my eye. And curiosity, as we know, leads to content. So, with that, everyone, thank you so much for joining me. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things, even though everyone here at this hour in particular is so well behaved, you have very little to do. Everybody who donated, thank you guys so much for your generosity. I very much appreciate it. Elsewise, everyone, have a good rest of your morning. Have a good rest of your Thursday. And if I don't see you tonight, have a good rest of your weekend. And I hope you're all safe and well. If you're not well, please get well soon. And I will hopefully see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.